Back in January of 2022, I took the ill-conceived step of launching a new YouTube channel called Grey Gaming, completely unaware that someone else had already launched a channel under that same name a year earlier. With little belief that anyone would actually watch it, I recorded and uploaded my first video with the title Settlement Builds for Noobs, Starlight Drive In. The video was everything you might expect from someone who had never recorded game footage before. It was choppy, poorly edited, poorly scripted, and to make matters that much worse, was recorded with poorly configured capture software on an aging computer that struggled to render and crashed several times during the attempt. I'd even considered removing the video from YouTube because I felt it was such a train wreck. But the weird thing was, people actually watched it, and apparently even liked it. In just 6 months, that single video accumulated more views, more likes, and more comments, and drew more subscribers than my entire primary YouTube channel that I had lovingly fostered, scripted, and developed for almost 2 years up to that point. I am absolutely amazed at the response I received for a grainy, pixelated, and poorly narrated video pieced together from several shreds of recorded footage between forced reboots. This video is for all of you awesome people that continue to encourage, critique, engage with, and offer feedback on my channel's content. You the real MVP, or some such nonsense. With all that out of the way, enjoy this slightly better version of my first video. Alright, what is up my homies, and welcome today to Grey Gaming. Today we are revisiting Starlight Drive In. So Starlight Drive In was my first video I uploaded, and as you all know, that movie had a lot of room for improvement. So I decided that now that my streaming setup is in a little bit better condition, this might be an excellent chance for us to actually get a better look at what the Starlight Drive In is. And as that video was recorded several months ago, there have been some slight changes to the settlement as well, some with some of my commenter feedback, and some just because I wanted to play around and experiment a little bit with what was going on. So I figured that this was an excellent opportunity to go ahead and take a look at Starlight Drive In one more time. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as you all know, Starlight Drive In is a fairly central location to the Commonwealth. It is located in the northwestern portion of the map, so it is fairly close to the Red Rocket Truck Stop and Sanctuary Hills. So it's one of those settlements that you can find quite early on, but it is at a major crossroads for a number of roads. So roads come in from almost every single direction and lead almost everywhere. So it's a great location to use for a lot of your provisioners, and it's also a great location to build if you're looking for kind of that headcanon story that you're selecting a capital settlement, because it's a very large build area, it has a very tall build ceiling, and it's almost completely level. So it is a great location for settlement building just in general. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right in. So I am showing off what I refer to as a tower build because it's a large rectangular concrete structure, and this is going to be fairly clean in comparison to a lot of the other types of settlement build videos you're going to see. And this tower is extremely defensible because it is completely surrounded in all directions by automated defense turrets. These create so much defense rating that this settlement is almost never attacked, and if it is attacked, it's almost always dealt with before you can even respond. Around here to the side, we do have a Brahmin paddock, and the Brahmin in here are very heavily protected as well. So you shouldn't ever have to worry about your Brahmin dying with this particular build because no enemies spawn nearby, and before anything can come even close, they do have to get past all of these heavy turrets in order to do so. So just close the hog wire gate behind me and we can keep going. So the screen house and all of the little offices and storerooms behind it is completely unused. It's very difficult to do anything meaningful with these just because of how cramped they are, and so I've completely just walled them off. They're completely unnecessary for this particular build anyway. So moving around here to this side, I do have a pretty sizable dog kennel, And the dog kennel here does have a number of breeds that are only available from the Creation Club. So even though I do have a lot of the vanilla dog breeds like the Rottweiler and the Pit Bull, I do have a Golden Retriever, I do have a Black Lab, and I do have a wolf from the Far Harbor DLC around here somewhere. Sometimes it doesn't exactly hang out near the dog kennel, but she'll show up sometime. Mishka's a good wolf. So in here we do have the unscrappable shack that contains the workshop, and you'll notice that I have a pretty decent number of cats throughout the settlement, and cats, if you didn't know, increase your settlement's happiness rating, so they're a nice kind of cute way of improving the settlement happiness rating, and they'll just kind of run from cat bowl to cat bowl, so you'll see a number of those stashed around in various corners. So looking here at the main projector house and concession stand area, one of the canopies is completely collapsed, so there's not a whole lot you can do with it. But around the side here, there is another canopy that is still standing, and so I built a concrete wall around it, completely enclosed it, and decided this would be a great hotel. So the main tower is reserved for my settlers and settlement expansion, but this is a central trading hub. My caravan stopping post here that's unlocked from doing some Bunker Hill quests is right here. So all of the Bunker Hill caravans stop at this location, and as you've noticed throughout this video already, there are a number of provisioners who stop here as well. So having this in-game idea of a hotel is a nice way for people to just stop off and take a load off. So in here you'll notice there are several beds. There's another cat tucked away in the corner there. And there is a lavatory here in the corner. So there is a bathtub, there is a sink, there is a toilet. So every creature comfort you could possibly want in the wasteland is here. In addition, we also have this Edotronic food dispenser and a number of stools to pull up to the concession stand. So people can sit around, eat their meal, and just have an overall good time. The main projector house itself is completely unused. Now before, if you watched my last video and you actually made it a few minutes in, you would have seen that this was walled off, and back here there was the bathtub, and this was what was serving as the lavatory for the hotel. I just decided to clear this out entirely and just add in a hotel area. There was also a table up here, but I decided this wasn't exactly a nice place for a relaxing stay, so I got rid of it as well. And you can see here where the bathroom was built off of this canopy. So moving up to the top layer, there is the unscrappable projector. I don't have anything built up there, and I don't intend to. For me, this is really just a quick and dirty place for people to stay where they are welcome. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're just passing by, you have a place to sleep that is nice and safe, and you get a lot of creature comforts that you ordinarily wouldn't get. And so that's it for the perimeter of the settlement. So let's go ahead and go inside and take a look at our tower build. All right, so the first thing that you'll notice as you step into this tower is that the door is actually sealable. So you can actually completely cut yourself off from any attacking force. So if you're really paranoid about losing settlers, you can always just flip this switch and this becomes an instant fortress. So it's kind of a cool feature to have this cutoff switch powering this door. All right. So here on the main deck, we have a number of different not necessarily recreational, a number of different amenities available at this particular settlement. So in here we have our marketplace. So we have all of your tier 4 settlers. We have
looking to trade?
We have Smiling Larry on weapons. We have the Brotherhood of Steel Scribes selling armor. We have Anne Hargraves selling clothing. And we have Trader Riley selling the general goods, but unfortunately Riley tends to glitch out, and instead of sticking with the store, she actually goes to the garden and farms. I haven't been able to permanently correct this even with console commands, so I've just kind of let her do her thing and just go up to the garden every time I need to buy or trade something with her. So that is your major tier 4 settlers. I also have Doc Anderson at the clinic, which you'll see in a little bit, and I also have Ron Staples at the bar, which is right across the hallway from us. So let's go ahead and check that out. So here we have our cafe. So we have some nice mood lighting, and we have a number of different seating options available. So we have these nice oil lamps, which give this much cleaner, kind of more calming atmosphere to work with. We also have some nice bar seating as well. And then of course we have Ron Staples over here, who's our tier 4 bartender. We also have a number of different dispensers and the Vault 88 soda machine. So we actually can mix up fresh soda here. We also have a Nuka-Cola mixing machine from Nuka World here as well. And we also have a cooking station, a sink for cleaning dishes. So it's pretty much a full service cafe that a lot of Wasteland settlements do not have. Even if you compare this to something like the Dugout Inn at Diamond City, they're not nearly this clean. We also have a nice private dining room here if you're looking for something more intimate, or we also have a party room here if you're looking to have some dining situations with some friends. So I really liked how this cafe turned out. I absolutely love it. I try and replicate it at most of my large settlements wherever I can, but I've never found anything that looks quite this clean and quite this inviting. So moving down the hallway, we do have a community workshop. So anything that you could possibly want to work on, whether that is armor, whether you want to whip up some chems, whether you want to work on some power armor or weapons, all of that is available here. Of course, the cooking station and the Nuka World mixing station are both located in the cafe, so I didn't throw a second one in here just because there's already some over in that vicinity as well. And another thing you'll notice is that every single room, for the most part in this tower, is completely lit. So this is a very bright structure compared to anything else that you'll see. Even where it is dark, where they're kind of split up a little bit, it's still not a lot of shadow in here. It's very well lit and does a very good job. So here we just have a nice community lounge area. So for people who work down here on the main deck who don't want to have to go up to another lounge that you're going to see shortly, this just gives them a nice place to sit down and chill during their lunch break or whatever. So it's a great little location. It can be decorated a little bit more, but do keep in mind that if you are on an older rig and you don't have that nice of a graphics card, your frame rate is really gonna be suffering even with just this basic minimalist build because of the sheer number of objects that have to be rendered. So do keep that in mind. If you're running a RTX series graphics card, you'll probably be fine. But do keep in mind that if you are trying to replicate this build, that you are going to really suffer as far as frame rate and possibly even game instability if you start to get this large. All right, moving down here to the basement. Oh, there's Mishka the wolf. She apparently spawned inside the tower. That's okay. So this is kind of the utility deck, and this is how I normally do my tower builds, is a lot of your utility items like water pumps and your power stations all go down here on the bottom deck where it's not quite so pretty, and it's just a nice way to kind of throw the stuff that you really don't care to look at for the most part. So this is a huge power consumption build, and so I do have 4 fusion generators here. Now, some people mentioned in my last video that the fusion generators do not generate as much power as the Vault-Tec reactors, and that is true, but the Vault-Tec reactors take up a huge amount of space and are not nearly as efficient on the resources necessary to construct them. So I normally still stick with the fusion generators even if I am starting to struggle with my frame rate, just because they are a more efficient item for the workshop. All right, and there is a pool of water down here, and I've just kind of boarded it up just because I like the aesthetic of the water pumps better. And I have had issues where people who fall in will sometimes generate combat events where if you have any synths who have moved into the settlement, they will die as a result. So I just board it completely up. Now, some people have mentioned that there are some radioactive barrels, and if you clear them out, the water stops being radioactive, which is true for the player character, but apparently not for the NPCs from my own experience. So even though you as the player can walk into the pool of water that's covered up here by this boardwalk, NPCs cannot. So I just board it up so I don't have to deal with it. So we do have 4 water pumps here. We are able to support a population of 40 with 4 water pumps, but the settlement does only have 21 people, and that's usually about the maximum that I can recruit. Some YouTubers claim you can have up to a maximum 34, but I've never seen it. 21 is the absolute max that I've been able to recruit to a single settlement, which is where I'm at right now. And I do have a robot workbench from the Automatron DLC as well. And I don't do much with it. I don't have any robots here because robots do negatively impact your average happiness rating. So I just don't bother with them for the most part. I have the ones that are necessary for the DLC and one that I was just playing around with, but it doesn't live at this location. All right, so let's go ahead and move up to our second deck. So the second deck is our residence deck. So the residence deck is primarily for people to live in and also take care of some of their other things. So the lavatories used to have kind of the same setup as the hotel where they had that crumbling bathtub, a sink, and a toilet. But I got rid of the bathtubs in favor of the decon stations, which are now in a different location. So the lavatories are much larger than they need to be. If you wanted to, you could kind of pull in these back walls and really shrink down the size of your lavatories, which I had intended to do before this video, but I just kind of decided they're fine as they are. So we do have a sink, we do have a toilet, and these are much larger than they need to be for the size of this build. Now, all of the green doors represent lavatories, so you do see all the way down this side of the hallway there are lavatories. Now, all of the housing takes the form of one of 2 styles. It's either a single person room or it is a 2-person room. So all of my MVPs, all those tier 4 settlers, they live in these single person accommodations. So kind of one of the benefits of living at this settlement and having an indispensable skill set is that you get private accommodations. And so we have everyone from Doc Anderson to Trader Riley, no matter what, they live in these single person rooms, and everyone else just gets stuffed with a roommate. So every single person gets the same basic amenities. They get a bed, they get a recliner with an ottoman, they get a dresser, and they get a locker to keep their personal belongings. So every single room is, for the most part, identical. So it doesn't matter what room it is, everyone gets the same thing. If you move over to the 2-person accommodation, it's very much the same story. Everyone gets a bed, they get a locker, they get a dresser, and instead of 2 recliners, we get a full sofa with an ottoman. So there is a little bit better accommodation there for extra guest entertainment, I guess you would say. So all of the rooms on this particular corridor are these 2-person accommodations. So it doesn't matter. Everyone gets the same, and we live in kind of a communist utopia. Walk faster. All right, so moving up here, we are on the health and wellness deck. So the health and wellness deck consists of a gym and a clinic. So if we go over here to the clinic, pretty much anything related to personal health and well-being is on this deck. So we do have a large waiting room out here. But we also have our barbershop in here. So for those who don't know the historical context, barbers used to be referred to as barber surgeons, and they basically were the same person. So I figured it was pretty fitting that here, since we've kind of taken a step back sociologically speaking, that the barber would be located in the clinic area. So we do have a nice sitting area here, some potted plants, And we do have our barber in a nice well-lit room. We also have an eye exam station, so we do have the Vault 88 Phoraptor for people who need to get eye exams, a real luxury out here in the wasteland. We also have a plastic surgeon station as well, so if you need plastic surgery, you can get it here instead of having to go to Diamond City for it. And we do have a decontamination room as well, so here's that decontamination station, gee, that's pretty difficult to say, that is also serving as showers in other locations. But for this room, I figured it was nice to have kind of that in-universe explanation that this is how you're getting rid of your rats when you go to the clinic. And then we have our actual doctor's office. So again, we have some private doctor seating, and we have good old Doc Anderson here serving as our tier 4 doctor at the settlement. So you might be noticing that there are some things that are kind of cleaner or some things that aren't quite right if you're playing vanilla game. And so one of the things is Doc Anderson wearing this uniform that I've kind of issued to everyone. Hers is slightly different, but one of the problems with Wasteland Doctors is they don't usually give you the dialogue to open up their inventory and trade items with them. So the only way to actually outfit Doc Anderson like this instead of the usual surveyor uniform that she wears is you have to use a console command. And I've also used console commands to clean up some garbage around the outside of the settlement, such as some skeletons that populate in, some parking blocks that are tipped over and just kind of roll around. So I have cleaned up the settlement a little bit using console commands, but other than that, this is a vanilla build. You don't need mods in order to construct it. You don't need to have pretty much anything other than some basic items that are offered by all the DLC. And there is one exception that is Creation Club specific, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Here's another chemistry station so that Doc Anderson can whip up chems right here instead of having to go down to the community workshop as well.
Lost track of how many blisters I got. Please, let me see.
All right, and so moving over here to the gym, we have pretty much all your gym equipment available in the game. We have some Power Bike 3000s, we have some pommel horses, we have some weight sets. All of these generate happiness with the exception of the power bikes. They're supposed to generate power, but you also have to assign settlers, so they're more there for aesthetic reasons. But we also have this nice indoor basketball court. So this is a full court basketball court. There is a better basketball court that I was able to construct at a different settlement, but this one didn't turn out too bad, if I do say so myself. There is 2 decks of viewing, and so I'll get to those later. And we do have a public shower here. So we do have a nice locker room to keep your stuff while you're showering, some changing rooms here. And here's where we have kind of those public showers that replaced all the bathtubs in the lavatories. So all of these work just like the decon station. They will get rid of your rads if you use them. But as far as a in-universe headcanon story, this is the community's shower. So your settlers aren't stuck just trying to wash themselves in a mud puddle. They can actually get pretty clean. Moving up to the second tier of the gym is pretty much the same thing. More weight sets, more pommel horses, more bikes. But we also have some seating if you want to watch the basketball game. So you can also watch the game on your exercise bikes if you feel so inclined. I would have liked to have gotten a half-court view, which is what I mean by better basketball courts at other settlements. But I wasn't quite able to get the dimensions to work right here. All right, so if we step out this door, this is one of 4 power armor display decks. So each side of this building has a similar catwalk, which is nice and railed in with this pretty vault railing. And each side has 4 sets of power armor. So this settlement has 10 sets of XO1 power armor and 6 sets of T60 power armor. So almost every single settler at this settlement has a set of power armor designated for them, which is better than or equal to whatever the Brotherhood of Steel could field. So you do see this is sporting some green paint, which is a Creation Club item, and I got it for free. Almost everything I have from the Creation Club that you see here is a free item. Every once in a while, they always go on sale, and I just grab whenever I see something new for sale that's free. So I don't buy anything, but it does kind of give it a little bit cleaner aesthetic, even than the upgraded Mark II power armor that you get that's a little bit cleaner than the rusty Mark I. But there are 4 of these decks, and they are almost all identical, so I won't spend too much time focusing on all the others. All right, and so that is it for the health and wellness deck. So let's go ahead and move up to the recreation deck. So this is our arcade. So we have a number of pool tables with billiard balls and everything. We also have a number of decorations around the room, so there's way more decoration in here than you see in pretty much anywhere else except for the Overseer Suite. But we do have some nice private seating area. We do have some various games from Nuka World, so you can actually play these games if you want. And we do have these arcade cabinets. So these arcade cabinets are, once again, a Creation Club item. So if you don't see these in your workshop, it's probably because you don't have the Creation Club arcade cabinets. I build these because they generate settler happiness, just like the Vault 88 slot machines that are over here. So we do have a number of different diversions for our settlers. We have a number of different things for them to play that all goes into settler happiness. And I really like how this turned out. We do have a small dance floor over here. We've got some disco balls. We also have these nice bars. We have a radio if someone wants to sit and play the radio. And it all just looks wonderful. I really like how this turned out. And we do have some entrances to more of these power armor display decks. So again, there's power armor displayed in every direction. And there are 16 sets total.
We must find the men of science. Surely they are out there still.
All right, so here we have another recreation deck. So this was kind of an expansion deck that I built into later. So in here we have a lounge. So we have a number of different seating arrangements. So we have these kind of private seats. We have this sort of meeting area. So if you're a chem addicted junkie and you need a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, you can sit here with all your buddies. We do have some radios around the room. We also have some card tables if you want to sit up and play a game of Caravan for anyone who's been to New Vegas and has picked that up. We also have just some areas for couches. We have some recliners that sit and look out over the Commonwealth. So if you want to just look and enjoy what's left of nature, then you can see that as well. And so this is our lounge area. We've got a big old boom box as well, and some more radios tucked around. So in addition, we have a weapons range. So I'm pretty happy with this, how this turned out. I would like to populate it a little bit more, and I probably could get away with it now that I have a decent graphics card, but I've decided against it because as it is, this is quite functional. So we have a 5-lane shooting range, and we do have a number of targets set up at different ranges. So we have the back wall, which is, I believe, the game equivalent of 50 meters. And then we have these mannequins at 40, and then we have a number of different poster boards at various ranges. So we are able to practice at different ranges. So I really liked how this turned out. I played around with trying to add more lanes, but it didn't look right no matter what. As it is, these are pretty wide shooting lanes, but if you've never actually been in a shooting range in real life, you probably wouldn't notice that. And we do have this doorway back here for you to be able to go back and check your targets as well. So I really like this shooting range. Even though it's really basic, it's very minimalist, there's not a whole lot in here, it does the job quite spectacularly. All right, so now moving up here, we are on our government services deck. So we do have the Overseer's office. So in here, we do have some chairs for people who want to meet with the Overseer. We have the Overseer's desk, And we do have the Vault Tech population management system. So if you need to assign your settlers from here, you can do it without having to track down where the heck the settlers are, because this is a large building. It can be really tiresome to try and go floor to floor to floor to find someone who's not assigned. So just using this here is much easier than having to do that. So this is a nice overseer's office. And we also have some various painting and decoration to put people at ease if they have to talk to the head honcho. So we also have a classroom. So we have a very large classroom at this location. So we have enough space for 16 students, and there's currently only one child residing here, and that is Sean. So this is an endgame build, by the way. If you don't know, then it's too late. I've already given you spoilers. So if you're going to hate on me in the comments, go ahead and do it. But I honestly don't care one way or the other. It's spoilers. There's probably more to come. So there is a teacher's desk here as well. So we also have this nice research lab. So we have some Nixie tubes that are configurable. So I went ahead and populated this with the date of the bombs falling. So we've got October 23rd, 2077. So nice in-universe use of the Nixie tubes. We also have some terminals that are fully powered as well. And we do have these Vault Tech equipment racks. So they make it look a little more science fiction-y. I wish there were some more science fiction-like objects that you could manufacture to make a lab look more useful. But as it is, it doesn't look too bad. It does look pretty sparsely populated, but it is what it is. And then in here we have our nursery. So there are no babies currently living here, but we do have the ability to have babies. And it's kind of sparsely populated once again. This is a minimalist build, so I didn't want to just go throw a bunch of toys laying around everywhere. But we do have some carpets for kids to kind of play on. We do have a number of, and I just noticed after constructing them that some of the slats are out on the cribs. That is unfortunate. But we do have some cribs throughout the room so that if we do start to have a large number of babies at this settlement, then there is a place for people to take them while they are working. So that is the schoolhouse. And then we have our brig. So we do have good old Madame Curie. Curie is the one character that I romanced on this playthrough, and so she's the only one of the companion characters living at this settlement. She's actually located right below my quarters, so having her stationed here actually helps me get the Lover's Embrace perk. No matter when I go to sleep in my own bed, I get the perk because she's always at this location. And so it's pretty useful for that point of view. So she's kind of the settlement sheriff. So we do have some pillories for people who perform more minor offenses. And for people who require longer periods of lockup, we do have these jail cells. So it's just a sink, a toilet, and a bed. Not a lot of other stimuli for them. And you can lock the door behind them. So I was pretty proud of how this turned out, but then after I had constructed the settlement, I started watching some Oxhorn videos, and it turns out that he had a very similar arrangement. So I'm not as original as I thought I was. So I will give credit where credit is due. If people do notice that similarity, just know that I did construct that before I realized that he had also done something similar. All right, hurry up and get down the stairs so I can keep moving up.
Come on. You people suck.
All right. So here is the Overseer's Suite. So this is my personal living quarters, and I have an entire floor of this tower to myself. So just like the 4 balconies used for power armor display, I also have 4 balconies on my Overseer Suite as well. So these are more just for being able to look out over the Commonwealth, for being able to sit down and talk to people as well. So this is a nice kind of kingly view as you were. So they're all pretty similar. They're all slightly different, but I won't bother going into each one. I do have this nice TV area, and the TV actually does turn on. I also have some big boom boxes and a tape deck as well. So I kind of wish that these were functional, but unfortunately they're not. I do also have a private dining area. And I do have some of the more unique costumes and suits on display here as well. So I do have the Nuka Girl, I have the General of the Minutemen, I have the Silver Shroud, and I also have Arthur Maxon's uniform as well. So you can probably guess he's probably not alive right now on this playthrough. So I also have a number of different trophies around the room. So I do have pretty much all the good looking ones. There's a few that I didn't build just because they look terrible, but almost all of the trophies that look halfway decent are mounted. I've thought about getting rid of these to kind of help the frame rate a little bit, and honestly I don't care that much about the trophies, but if you are one of those people who likes a more lived in looking build, then these help quite a bit. All right, and then over here we have several suits of power armor we're still working on assembling. So XO1 is naturally very hard to come by after you've gotten 10 suits of it. So these are all suits that are under construction. So as I find XO1 parts, I add them to the chassis, and once I get a complete set, I paint it green, take it down to the power armor deck, swap out a set of T60, and send that suit of T60 to another settlement that might need it. So almost all of my settlements have some amount of power armor on display. I also have my personal power armor collection. So I have one of each of the basic suits of power armor. So some of these do have unique pieces, such as the Raider power armor that has Tessa's fist. I also have like the piezonucleic power armor chest from Cambridge Polymer Labs, and several other pieces of unique power armor as well. So I do have these completely maxed out to top level. So we have Raider number 2, and then we have either Mark 6 or F variant for all of the other pieces. So a set of T45, our set of T51, our set of T60, and our set of XO1. Moving around to the other side, we have our more unique suits of power armor. So we do have the Vim and Vim Refresh from Far Harbor. We also have a set of Tesla T60 power armor from the Automatron DLC. And we also, from Nuka World, have our Quantum XO1 and our Nuka-Cola T51 power armor as well. And we also have Overboss Coulter's power armor as well. So we have that unique variant of Raider power armor. So this is my personal power armor collection, and it's about as complete as you can hope for a personal power armor collection. All right. So moving over here, we have my personal workshop. So we do have all of the crafting stations. So we have cooking, chemistry, Nuka-Cola, armor, weapons, and power armor. I do have a full set of Brotherhood of Steel power armor that I need to fix up, paint green, and send to another settlement. I also have these boxes where I keep various components. So I keep power armor next to the power armor stand, weapons next to weapons, and armor next to armor, naturally. So stuff that I plan on using or giving to other settlers, I normally keep in here. And there's other locations where I take other junk. Moving over here, we have my personal library or man cave. So we do have along the wall a lot of various unique weapons from around the Commonwealth. So we've got some alien blasters, we've got Deathclaw gauntlets, we have Assaultron heads. We've also got a lot of weapons that I would personally use. So things that I've named like Boomstick, a custom shotgun, the anti-material rifle from the Creation Club. So again, something that went on sale for free, so I grabbed it. Rail guns, the homemade rifle from Nuka World, which I absolutely love. If you can max it out, it's absolutely the best ballistic weapon in the game. We also have some things from some of the DLCs, like the Mr. Handy Blade, the Assaultron Blade, Adam's Judgment. We have Krevim's Tooth. And then we have more Creation Club stuff. We have Dovahkiin's Sword, because, you know, ha ha ha, Skyrim in Fallout, whatever. We also have some of our more unique pieces of heavy weapons. So things like a Turnus, Ashmaker, Defender's Harpoon Gun, Junk Jet, the Broadsider, all this fun stuff on display as well. We do have a file cabinet where I just throw all the random garbage you tend to accumulate that just makes your inventory a pain to go through. So I just drop it all in there. I do have my personal arcade here, so I don't have to go down and play with the unwashed masses. I can just play up here in private. More weapons along the side, or along the other side, like the Silver Shrouds, Silver submachine gun. I also have every magazine in the game in alphabetical order to make it easy to find. So that took a long time to accumulate. I had to go through so many guides, but it's so worth it. I also have other stuff to display, like every flavor of Vim. I don't know if this is everyone, but this is every robot kit that I have found on this particular playthrough. So this took a while for me to actually realize, but after I've seen it, I can't unsee it. The robot are actually the models from Fallout 3 and New Vegas. So I can't believe I played as long as I did and didn't realize that they weren't even using the Fallout 4 textures. They were using the Fallout 3, which is kind of a fun nod to the older graphics style. We have every flavor of Nuka-Cola, including all of the different mixes. So that was also a huge pain to manufacture every single one of these, but again, totally worth it. And finally, we have every bobblehead in the game, which is not nearly as bad to get as all of the magazines, but still kind of a chore to explore and get every bobblehead. But again, so worth it. And so that is our man cave. Moving over here to the opposite side of the room, we have our living quarters. So we have Sean's bedroom in here. So I kind of populated it with a bunch of posters, kind of like I assume a kid Sean's age would do. He does have this nice wraparound desk. He does have a toy box and a dresser for keeping all his personal stuff. So this is a nice place for Sean to grow up and spend his life. In here we have my bedroom, which is a little bit more basic. So we have a desk, we have a locker where I keep all the outfits I don't wear, I have a trunk where I keep all the weapons I don't wield, and I have a dresser where I keep a bunch of weapons for pretty much the purpose of scrapping at settlements to increase their build ceiling. If you aren't aware of that particular exploit, if you scrap weapons using the workshop instead of using the workbenches, then it actually thinks that you are scrapping items in the settlement itself, and you can actually use it to indefinitely build a settlement larger and larger. That's a requirement if you plan on building this settlement with this large of a structure. So once again, we do have my private bedroom here, so you can kind of lock yourself in and separate yourself from the world. All right, and we have one final deck on this structure, and it is the sky deck. So it's a nice open roof concept. We have all of these nice street lamps to fully light it. We have all of these, or all of this seating. So if you wanted to have like a steel beach picnic, then you can do that. For anyone who hasn't been in the Marine Corps or the Navy, a steel beach picnic is where you go to the outside of a ship to have your food. So that's kind of what the concept is here, where if you want to have like a public picnic, you can go here instead of the cafe. We also have our rooftop garden or earthponics bay. So every type of food you could possibly want to grow is grown here, so you don't have to worry about one staple crop being wiped out, and you don't have to worry as much about nutritional deficiencies of everyone living on one crop and not getting the proper nutrition. So you can also do crop rotation by moving these crops to different garden beds everywhere. So I really like how this turns out. There is way more food here than you need for a settlement of 21 people. It's really great for in-universe explanations, for having more food than you need, so you can put some away, you can trade it with other settlements. It's also great for practical application where you might need to make things like adhesive, where vegetable starch is a powerful adhesive that you might need for constructing certain mods. And we do have an artillery battery. This consists of 4 guns that are fully manned. There's just 2 people taking a break right now. And so we have 360-degree artillery visibility at pretty much all times. So no matter where you're at, you can expect artillery coverage in the nearby vicinity. We also have some firework mortars as well. So if you want to do an outdoor fireworks show, you can do that as well. And there you have it, folks. That is my Starlight Drive In tower build. So as you can see, a little bit different in the quality between this and my first video that I uploaded, which was the first video I did on this entire channel. So if you have any feedback, critiques, or comments, concerns, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If you have ideas for future settlement builds for noobs videos, or even future revisited videos, because my Kingsport Lighthouse video was pretty much the exact same situation as far as bad recording quality, please feel free to drop those in the comments below. I love to hear feedback. The response to my first video was absolutely insane. I had no idea so many people would be interested in that video, especially with as poor quality as it was. So if any of you would like to see more, I would love to hear from you. So with that said, this has been great gaming. I've had a ton of fun, and I hope to see all of you here next time on another episode of Settlement Builds for Noobs. Have a good one.